What is going up, guys? This is the Flamespot here, and we are back with another paper game. This paper game is called Too Hot, and as the name suggests, we are in the desert, and we're going to have to try to roll to safety. So, what do you need with this game? Well, obviously you need the board, some of the rules, which is on my website, and will also be on the Paper Computer Games PCG shop. You might want to have something to write down for your inventory. Obviously you need a pencil for that. A way to mark your character, and then a die or two. You can always have multiple die, just you only need one, but you know, two is always more. Two is more, two is better. In any case, let's get into it. As you can see, we have our grid right here with our game. But the grid has quite a few symbols on it and words on it. So what do they actually mean? Well, since we are in the desert, obviously water is a main problem. You need water to survive, which is how the story goes for this game. You pretty much got lost in the desert, plane crashed, car broke down, whatever. But you managed to find an oasis, and obviously this oasis is pretty much your life right here. You have to drink from it, you got your water source and your shade and you know, all sorts of things from the sun to protect you from the sun. So currently this is your home. However, you know that at the end of the desert over here there's a car that's ready to rescue you. Well you gotta get there now, so how are you gonna do that? Well, first things first is that whenever you start this game, you start off with 2 water bottles. I guess you found it in the wreckage of whatever happened. Well, you can fill up your water bottles at the oasis and then you can go on your journey from there. Well, obviously on the first day, you drink from the oasis and you can move wherever you want. So you're gonna roll 1 die pretty much wherever you are. This die, obviously what it lands on is how many spaces you can move, and yeah. Then you also still have your 2 water bottles. So every water bottle that you have gives you another die roll. So pretty much this is like each day is 1 roll, so you can travel 3 spaces. So let's just say 3 miles, and then that's the end of the day of traveling for you. In which every single day you consume 1 bottle of water. I guess you can put a 3rd one if you want, since you start at the oasis, so you technically start automatically with 1. However, there is also a difficulty rating for this game. So there's an easy, medium, and hard. Easy is where you start off with 3 water bottles. Medium, you only have 2, which is what I have right now, I'm playing right now. And hard, you only start with 1 water bottle, plus, you know, you're drinking from the oasis. So pretty much you get to have 2, 3, or 4 rolls from the start. Now, I'd recommend medium or hard, because if you start with easy, then this game is going to fly by, and like you can beat it in a minute or so. So now that we know how to actually move and how long you can move, let's go on into what's on the actual board. So now it's time to figure out what we have on the board. Let's just say we roll a 2, perfect. And there is something over here. It says ruins on it. So I'm gonna move over to this ruins. Now, what are ruins? Well, pretty much whenever you go into a ruins, you get to explore it and try to find pretty much any sort of useful items that could help you on your way to reach your end goal. As you can see on my rules list, I have 6 different items that you can get. Each item is tied to a number on top of the die. So whenever you go into a ruin, you are going to roll a die, and whatever number that is will correspond to the number on the ruins item chart. So I rolled a 5, and on my item chart it says that means I get 3 gold. So I'm going to write in my inventory times 3G. Or you can write gold if you want, but right now I'm just going to have 3G. Alright, so after you explore a ruin, then that ruin is pretty much picked clean of all its useful items for the next 5 turns, or the next 5 days. Or 5 rolls pretty much. So you can also keep track on that. You can either write it on top of the ruin, or you can just like label everyone like R1, R2 if you want, and then just keep track of it on your piece of paper. Or you can just keep it in your head, hey, I have 5 more rolls until this one resets. Well, obviously, if that was our first roll, then that means we still have 2 more rolls to go. So I'm gonna roll. So you didn't see it, but that was a 5. And I'm pretty curious about what this is, a merchant. So 1, 2. This is just right now. If you roll something over if you roll a number, you land on something, you can still continue to use the rest of the rolls. So after I do whatever with the merchant, then you can continue to move however you want. However, I hit the merchant. So what is the merchant? Well, similar to the ruins, it's another thing that has another item chart to it, where you can gain potential items. Well, so just like ruins, merchants are scattered throughout the map. And when you land on one, you roll a die twice. So this is why I have 2 die. You can also have 1. So a 1 and a 5. Pretty much whenever, whatever you roll, you are going to look at the shop chart, and that is going to be the stock that the shop or the merchant has. So I rolled a 1 and a 5, and on this shop chart it says that I have the ability to refill my water, or I can buy a flashlight from this shop. So pretty much you can only ever buy 2 of the 2 of the 6 things from the shop. However, if you see on the list, 6 is nothing. So if I roll a 6, that means the shop owner might only sell the 1 thing, or if you roll 2 6s, which would be very unfortunate, then he's not selling anything. So there is a little bit of risk to go to the merchant. However, pretty much you're going to actually buy something useful. And of course, this is where you use your gold to buy whatever you want from the merchants, such as refill water is 3 gold, in which whenever you do refill water, you can only refill 1 bottle per day. So you can't refill all your water, you can only refill 1 bottle. Buying a new water bottle is 5 gold, an energy bar is 2 gold, a hiking stick is 2 gold as well, and a flashlight is 4 gold. Now all of these things have their own uses. If you can probably see on the rules page. However, I'll just go over all the items right now. A water bottle lets you have 1 more day without returning to the oasis. So as we discussed earlier, you get another water bottle, you can draw it in, or you can just write 1 water bottle or 2 water bottles extra, or 5, however many you have. So water bottles are really, really important. And it's also great that from the merchants, you can refill your water from them. Alright, next is energy bars. Energy bars adds 1 extra space you can move, or pretty much adds 1 extra thing to your roll. This only works on the map when traveling. It does not work with ruins or merchants. So let's say I am here, and let's just say that was the end of my roll. Then if I rolled a 3, and if I wanted to use an energy bar, then technically I rolled a 4, so I can move 4 spaces. Now, energy bars only have 3 uses to them, so after you use it 3 times, then they just disappear. You can't use it anymore. Similar to energy bars, you have the hiker stick, which, the reason why I say similarly is that it also has 3 uses, but whenever you use it, you can move diagonally once. With this, you have to use your roll as well, so you roll, and you roll a 1, so that means you can only move diagonal 1. Whenever you do roll, so let's say a number above 1, you can only use the hiker stick once per day. So even though you rolled a 2 and you still might have all 3 uses in your hiker stick, you can only move diagonal once, and you have to use the rest of your moves going up, down, left, right. You cannot go diagonal more than once. Alright, so that's a hiker stick. Again, you have 3 uses for that. Next, you have the flashlight. Now, when you get a flashlight, if you land on some ruins, then that means you get to explore deeper into the ruins, and you can actually search for 2 items. So you can roll a 1 and a 6, so if you look at the graph, you can get a water bottle and 5 gold. So flashlights pretty much allows you to get 2 things from ruins, so it's really good. You get 2 uses for that per flashlight. And then the other things we have are just gold, nothing, or refill water, which we said earlier. So that's pretty much everything that has to deal with ruins and merchants. Now we have one more item on the map, which is the well. Now, well is pretty simple. Pretty much whenever you go over it, then you can refill 1 of your water bottles. I only say 1, well, because obviously it's just 1. So you might need to roll something extra, and although you pretty much rolled, let's say this is your last water bottle, and you rolled to go to that well, you still only have 1, so you better make it to another well or back to the oasis within that time. So pretty much it just refills 1 of your water bottles. Gives you 1 extra roll. Now, the well whenever you land on a well, then you pretty much you take up all the water from it for the next 3 days. So after 3 days, then the well resets. So the ruins, it takes 5 days for it to reset. The well, it takes 3 days. The merchants don't have a reset day. However, every single time you do visit them, so you can go off and back on, off and back on, but you have to roll new values for them each time. So you're not guaranteed to get what you want every single time. And that's pretty much it for the guys on the map. Now let's say that you are in the middle of nowhere, you rolled a 2, and you have no water left. So you are pretty much completely out of water, out of turns, and out of just overheated yourself. Well, do you lose? If you want to, you can reset the game. However, I feel like that's a little too brutal. So instead, I'm saying that if you run out of water and can't move anywhere or do anything to help you keep moving forward, then you pretty much overheat and pass out. Well, you wake up and you're back at the oasis. A merchant smiles at you and he says that he carried you back to safety. However, you know, because he did you this solid and saving your life, it doesn't come unburdened. So you either must give him all of your current gold that you have, and if you have no gold, then you can't choose this option, or you must assign all your items to the shop numeric values, roll a die, and whatever the die is, you must give the merchant one of that item. If you roll a number of an item you don't have, you re-roll. If you roll a number 6, which is nothing from the shop items, then you don't actually lose anything. The shop owner, or the merchant, said it was out of the goodness of his heart. So let's say in our situation we had 3 gold. I'm just gonna draw like a thing for a hiker stick and another thing but with like a chewy whatever, and then like an X on it to show like it's an energy bar. So if you actually look back on the shop map, not the shop, whoops, I actually wrote that wrong on my rules. You're going to use the ruins item chart. So you're either going to, if you roll a 1, then you lose a water bottle, which is a very big problem. So you give away one of your water bottles. If you roll a 2, then you give away an energy bar. If you roll a 3, that's your hitchhiker stick. 4 is your flashlight. And 5 is 3 gold, 6 is 5 gold. Now, in this case, if you don't have any gold, then you have to do the second option, which you roll for it. If you roll a 5 or a 6 and you still don't have any gold, well then, therefore, you don't lose anything. But if you roll a 1 through 4, then you're going to lose one of your major items, and you really don't want to lose your water bottles, because in my opinion, that is one of the best items in the game, since it allows you, it's your movement. It's one of your main movements in the game, which could allow you to move 6 squares on this map. So, it's pretty much a risk and reward, see if you can make it, see if not. Obviously, you have the choice, so if you have 1 gold, then look at that, it's your lucky day, you only lost 1 gold. Or if you have no gold, you might just lose some of your items. One final thing with this rule, let's just say, since I don't have a flashlight, if I roll a 4, which would be the number of the flashlight, technically I don't have it, so if you don't have that one, unlike the gold, then you actually just re-roll it. So only if you land on the gold is if you don't give them anything. So yeah. Now of course, what is one of my games with when I only actually give you guys 1 map? For this game, I actually have 2 maps. So this one is there's not that many grid spaces to get to the end. This should probably take you 5 minutes to beat. Most likely less time than that even. So I decided to make a way bigger map. Now this map has obviously a lot more grid spaces and some other symbols. Now these symbols actually represent all the same things from the original. So if I move everything to the side, we can make a comparison in which you still start down here and you end at the top. There is an R that is supposed to represent ruins. I can't draw miniature ruins on every single square, so I just labeled everything with their letter values. So R is ruins, M is merchant, W with like a swirl around it is your wells, and these dash bars are pretty much just tall sand dunes that you can't pass. You can't go around or anything like that, so you just can't go through them. It's just supposed to be a little bit more of a challenge putting these dunes in here, because otherwise it's just an open grid in which you could just go straight diagonally or very easily up in a certain way to the end. So I decided to put in at least a few obstacles in order to make you choose which way you want to go. Now you might look at this and see that going up would take a lot, or going up takes a lot longer than going over. Doesn't really matter since you're still reaching the other diagonal in the end. However, I made it so that the wells are spaced out pretty decently so that it doesn't matter which route you take, you are most likely going to be able to reach the end. Alright, so this one and this version, you're going to go through a lot more ruins, a lot more merchants, a lot more buying things, and a lot more items. So this one might be more fun. However, if you only have a little bit of time, and if you like visuals a lot more, then you can play the small one. Pretty much that's it for this game. I will have a gameplay coming out of it pretty soon. This one is just like a how-to video and how this works. So that's pretty much it. And this is the Flamespot signing out.